Okay. Nice.
Maybe work on my book if I can stay upright. I'm on cold meds. I hope it doesn't show, but I suspect it does. Not COVID, I checked.
And not bourbon.
No, but a hot toddy is probably in my future.
Yeah. Is that the last guy you dated?
Hot toddy?
Yeah, hot toddy.
Well, no, at my age, they're not so hot toddy. Formerly hot toddy.
Missing toddy? Buttless toddy?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, it is time. It is exactly 3 p.m. Eastern time.
Okay.
In the city of Covington, Kentucky. Hi, everybody. This is Chris. This is Megan. I hope you can hear me. If it looks like I'm talking to Megan's chest, because that's where the microphone is.
No, it's not. It's on my neck.
Well,
the general area.
Right, the general area. So okay. Speak into the right, whatever. So we're going to talk about Dutch tool chests today. We have a whole bunch of questions. We're going to move quickly through them so that Megan can get home and go to sleep because she's been ill all week.
Yeah.
So this is in support of her forthcoming book on Dutch tool chests, which is titled
Dutch Tool Chests.
All right. And
catchy.
And when is it going to be published?
Well, I'm not really sure. That's up to my publisher.
Yeah.
Sometime before the first half of next year. In the first half of next year. Yeah. It was supposed to be by Christmas, but then the world ran out of paper, and so I thought, no sense in hurrying, because I didn't consider digital publishing because I'm old-fashioned, and there's that. So
it's okay. We don't hate on.
I know.
So, all right. Well, let's just dive in
so we
can get through this.
Okay.
Matthew Collins. Hi, Matthew.
Hi, Matthew.
First-time caller.
Long-time listener.
What is the history of the Dutch tool chest in 6 words or less? No, I mean, what you can do more than 6 words.
I think you mean fewer. It's going to be that kind of a day. Okay. Well, one of the reasons they're called Dutch tool chests is one of the earlier ones we know about came over on a ship from Deutschland. Deutschland. Deutschland is Germany, isn't it? Holland. From Holland. Mauritius Steenland, is that right? I think.
Sure.
Mauritius Steenland. I can't remember for sure. I'd have to look. But there's a picture of it in Jim Tolpin's The Toolbox book, and it came from Holland, and it is this form, and that's the one that Chris replicated or took his cues from for the article that ran in Popwood in 2013. And so I think that's where the name Dutch tool chest comes from, is it's just a fairly early example. It came over in the late 1800s. It was probably in the family for some time, though. Probably built in the early 1800s, and there are older forms of chests also that show up in is it the Book of the Book of the Dead? No, what's that thing called? The German one?
No, it's the 1500s. It's the Life of the Infant.
No. That one too. No, I'm talking about the German one that showed pictures of people at their jobs.
That's the
Book of the
Dead.
It is the Book of the Dead.
Yeah, that's what we call it.
Okay.
Because it's about dead people.
Okay. Anyway, there's some pictures of things that may or may not be Dutch tool chest in it. There's a picture of one possibly in, is it a Dürer print?
No, it's Life of the Infant.
It is Life of the Infant.
It's the frontispiece for Life of the Infant.
All right.
And that's definitely a tool chest.
That is
it's shown with tools and
right.
a bench and everything. That's the earliest one. And that, I believe, is a Dutch.
Is it Dutch?
A Dutch image. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't visited the front matter in months, so I have to go back to it, but
yeah,
that was more than 6 words, sorry.
Was the mobile base part of the original design?
No. It's just to lift it up higher and to provide a little bit more storage space and make it more comfortable to work out of, I think.
Inside of a workshop?
Inside of a workshop, sure.
Okay. So Jason McSpadden asks, how do you cut the slots for the panel saw till that goes on the lid?
I actually answered him online because I wanted to send pictures to him because it's a little hard to talk about. But he's talking about the one that broke almost immediately in the other chest, not in the ones I've got here. Not the one that goes in the floor. The ones that go on the floor for the back saws gets cut on the bandsaw. You sandwich them together and then just cut the slots and then put a curve on it to your liking. The other ones, it appears to me, I'm not going to make that kind because they break, and I think there's a better solution that I haven't come up with yet.
Yeah, those are built up. They're laminated.
Right, it's laminated together. It looks like you either cut it on the table saw or you just took a lot of strips and put them together and
It's
put
just
little
little
spacers
strips.
in between them, and
Yeah,
then it's
for the
screwed to the lid. So.
Yeah. And I've got a way, I think, to fix that,
Yep.
which would be to run screws through the laminations.
Yeah,
and
that
also,
would help.
I used yellow pine.
Yeah, you
and
did.
it just wasn't strong enough.
Right.
Okay, Joe Leonetti
Hi, Joe.
writes, both the Dutch tool chest and the Anarchist tool chest
Mm.
are popular designs. What would make you choose one over the other? This is the dating game.
The dating game. Well, Joe, I think that for traveling, the Dutch tool chest is far superior because I used to be able to lift it all by myself and put it in my car. I still can if I have to, but I'll ask for help now if I can. The Anarchist tool chest, even the smaller one, I can't possibly lift by myself. I can't get my arms around it. And the Dutch tool chest does, in fact, hold a fair number of tools. I have not had overflow tools when I'm teaching classes on the road. I take the Dutch tool chest. In the shop, though, it's easier and more comfortable for me anyway to work out of the full-size tool chest. It's just easier to reach in and out of. But either one is a solid choice, I think, and I don't prefer one over the other, really. It's just... I'll build whatever anybody asks me to if you're paying me. That's sort of what it boils down
So now
to.
we're just haggling over price.
That's right.
Yeah, I think that the Dutch tool chest is definitely great for traveling.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it holds about 90%
It does.
of what the English chest holds. I think of the English chest, and this isn't about me, but I'll just give 2 cents, is that its size is the security feature.
Sure.
You don't, if it's a Dutch tool chest, one person can steal all your tools.
Even me. I can pick
And-
that thing up. Yeah.
And if it's an English tool chest, they have to have an accomplice.
That's true.
Andrew Willis sort of riffs on these two. He wants to list some advantages and disadvantages when compared to the Anarchist tool chest, which I think we kind of did.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit easier to keep things organized, more easily accessible, I guess, in the Anarchist tool chest just because of the 3 sliding tills and because of the rack in the back for the molding planes. But the molding planes fit just fine in the bottom of a Dutch tool chest. We'll bring one over here and show you that in a few minutes. But
And the Dutch tool chest is definitely easier to build.
Oh, yeah.
Less wood,
Less
more
wood.
variety of joints.
Yeah, it teaches you more. The Anarchist tool chest is a dovetail death march. You'll be very good at dovetails, or at least better. By the end of the Dutch tool chest, you will have learned more, which I think is beneficial if you're just starting out. So.
Yeah. And Wayne Manahan also continues on this theme. It seems to be they want an ATC DTC slapdown episode. I'd like to ask why you consider the Dutch style tool chest as or more useful than the English style tool chest. Is it easier to use the chest with the sliding tills? My wife wants to know. I had to read ahead there because I was a little worried we were going to get in trouble. My wife wants to know what the lower chest is for and how helpful that is. It looks to me that if nothing else, it raises the top section to the standard of the standard Dutch chest up to a more convenient height for working from it. I think we kind of plowed that ground.
Yeah, we kind of did, but I think other people further down are asking, I read ahead, are asking what I use the lower section for and why I don't have it all divided up. And it's because I do change my mind or my needs for what goes in the bottom. The top is more divided to hold specific tools in specific places. Having the bottom open is useful because then I can put whatever needs to be in there. Yeah.
Yeah, and the mobile part, I consider to be the junk drawer of the shop.
Yeah.
I mean, there has to be that. Where
Yeah.
you're just like, I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah, where does this go?
This goes here.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, we'll show you all the ones that are in the shop in a little while. We're not just going to make you guess what these look like if you don't already know.
Bob Devine asks, why is the lid so steep in historic examples or modern interpretations?
Probably to keep you from piling stuff on it. If it's too flat, you're going to put stuff on it and then you can't get in it. That is a downside of the ATC. You can put stuff on top of it and then it makes it hard to get at the stuff inside.
Or it's an advantage because it's a table.
Right, or it's
I
a table.
use it for glue up.
Sure. Also, theoretically, if you're using it for travel and you're outside in the weather, I guess rain falls off of it. So.
Yeah, I think the steepness, if I had to guess, and
Yeah.
I'm just guessing, so, you know.
You could do whatever angle you want, though, Wayne. Or no, not Wayne. Bob. Bob can
it's
cut
Bob
whatever
Devine.
angle he wants.
Right, but if it were a shallow angle, if it were a shallow
I have no shallow anger. It is all deep into abiding.
then it would be harder to put a rack on the back.
Would
Because
it?
it would bring it, well, either you would raise the front up and you'd have something less flat.
Yeah.
I think it gives you more back wall so that you can reach straight back.
Yeah, without having to
a
reach
rack,
over
without
stuff.
having to like do this.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
do any DTCs have sliding tills in the top section?
I have seen people do all kinds of crazy and fabulous things in the top and bottoms of their DTCs, and we'll have some pictures in that fabled book.
Do any DTCs have a drawer for the lower section?
Yes, they do. More than one.
Some of the early ones that we saw even had a drawer on the very underside
Yeah,
between them.
between them.
The skids. Does the lid just flop over to the back side of the case when opened?
It depends on what kind of hardware you put on it. You can also put a lid stay on it. I have a lid stay, a chain on the one that I take on the road all the time so that doesn't happen. You can put hinges on that allow it to stay open. So yes or no, it's up to the maker.
Or a
wall. A wall helps.
Yeah, it's funny that people get so
I know.
obsessed with how the lid is going to
On all of them, on the ATC too.
Yeah, when it's really like, dude, it's against a wall most of the time.
Usually.
Yeah.
Yep. Dude.
Do this.
Do that.
Gene Wiggs writes, for those of us who are older or getting older, just in denial, would you spend some time on the layout possibilities for the front-facing open spaces? It seems like drawers might make things more usable, especially in the add-on bottom section.
Right. Well, again, we'll take you around. I should have put these in a better order. We'll take you around and show you the interiors of a few that we have in here and maybe go over that at that time. That would be easier, don't you think?
Okay.
Okay. Right.
Paul McClellan asks, any suggestions for the dust seal for the top cover? I took an early class from Chris at Lee Nielsen, and the two-board top is still almost perfectly flat, but its sides are exactly parallel.
With the top of the chest? Well, yeah. So now when I teach the class, I usually make the lid a little bit wider and we put a batten on the outside, and that pretty much serves as a dust seal, and you could do the same thing across the front if you wanted to. I guess I'll just drag this over here so that people can see it. Because I keep saying, we'll show you this later, and I really can pick it up by myself. It's easier by the handles. I don't know why I'm doing this, but right. So we've got the battens here on the outside, and then that sort of serves as a dust seal. And there's no reason you couldn't extend the front a little if you wanted to and put one across there as well. Excuse me.
Yeah, I like the exterior.
I do too. It looks nice too. So
It does. It's kind of an 18th century, 17th century chest feature that you see on like 6 boards.
Right.
So, okay. Let's get back. Okay. Now we're back.
okay.
In Chris's ATC book, he lays out strong cases for certain design elements, such as dovetailed skirts, frame and panel lid, dust seals, etc. What are the pros and cons of adding these elements to the Dutch tool chest?
Well, I mean, you could. It certainly makes it more difficult and time intensive to build. And this is, I think this is the one that's in the next issue of Fine Woodworking, and I think I built it on camera and painted it in a day, right? Yeah.
It's amazing.
I was pretty proud of that, actually. Anyway, if you start adding in frame and panels and stuff, it's going to take a lot longer. It will be stronger. It is strong enough as is, though. The ATC is absolutely overbuilt. I love them, don't get me wrong, but it is absolutely bomb-proof. This one is probably not bomb-proof, but I don't usually encounter bombs in my woodworking career, so it's kind of a non-issue. I would not climb inside of, well, I couldn't possibly, but I could climb inside of an ATC and it'll hold my weight. This one, Probably wouldn't, but that's okay because it doesn't need to.
Dave writes about hardware. He doesn't know strap hinge lingo. Can we discuss a few of the sources for getting really nice hinges and hasps, for example?
Sure, and I will put online sometime next week all of my hardware sources. But a strap hinge is a hinge that has a long strap on it, and that's actually what's on this chest here.
Let's go take a look.
Yep. And then you've got blacksmith-made ones on yours, right? Yeah.
We'll look at yours first.
Okay. All right. So these are the Lee Valley strap hinges. They're called the unequal strap hinges. I believe these are the 3-inch by 9-inch ones. So the back of it is 3 inches long, and it's just attached to the back of the chest. And then on the interior, I think it's 9 inches long, and they're just screwed in place. And those are relatively inexpensive. I think the two of them together are $22, if I remember correctly. They do not come as a set, though. You have to remember to order two. I often go wrong there. And then these handles are also the ones that are sold. These are sold at any place that sells trunk hardware also, but these are inexpensive as well. I think $28 maybe, $32 for the set. So altogether, the hardware that you're seeing on this particular chest is in the neighborhood of $50. I don't know for sure. I also worked with Horton Brasses to come up with some blacksmith-made stuff for the book, and it's beautiful hardware. It includes a hasp that goes here, forged strap hinges, and we reversed the barrel on that so that all of the hardware is on the front of it here, because if you're paying for all this beautiful hardware, why not see it? So I wanted it on the outside, and it has matching lifts and stuff too. Unfortunately, I don't have any of that here to show, but if you go onto my Instagram feed, there are enough Dutch tool chests to make you never want to see one again, probably, over the years. And you can see it there. And then we've got Chris's Dutch tool chest over here from years ago, from 2013. And this is also blacksmith-made hardware. It's on the inside of the chest. Remove the condom, yeah. Throw it on the ground. So many jokes. So this was made by John Switzer at Black Bear Forge, I believe. Is that correct? And this is really pretty hand-forged hardware. So you can work with a blacksmith to make some for you as well. And I guess we can look at interiors while we're standing here, yeah.
Okay.
Although the interior of this one is, this is all the overflow stuff, not just in the bottom section, but in the top section. These are extra chisels that we have. And
No, this is just how it always is.
yeah, people who know anything about you know that's not true. Chris's grandfather's corner clamps, I believe, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, sorry, Granddad.
That's all right. So all kinds of just, stuff that is cool and that we want to keep and that we want to use sometimes, or things that I loan out during classes, actually, but things we don't need all the time. You can see we've got the tool rack back here for whoop, this is going so well. Hanging items, that's just drilled on the drill press. You don't even need a drill press. This is the saw rack we were talking about earlier. You can see how it's built up. That one snapped off. So I think Chris was saying if we put long screws through here, that will help hold it in place. The other saw rack for back saws is hidden. We can see that one better in my empty one.
No, it looks fine here. It doesn't have any saws in it.
No, yeah, mine doesn't either, actually. And then God knows what the bottom section of this has. Lots of stickers. It's a good place for your sticker collection, actually. Gouges and some more planes. That's your toothing plane that says Shores on it, isn't it? Sea Shores. Yeah. One thing I never liked about this, sorry, Chris, is that while the bottom section down here does a really nice job of raising this up to a good working height, to get into that bottom section, I'm just proving that I can lift it. You have to take this off in order to get at that bottom section. In fact, we have stuff in there we never ever use because it is kind of a pain in the butt to get into.
Yeah, but there are other ways of doing that. I mean, there's a surface hasp.
Like the one I have over here. I'll show you that.
Okay, we'll go over to that. I built that at Roy Underhill's.
I know you did.
I was doing it, I had to make it with the same locking features is the big size one is the teaching moment.
I understand.
All right.
I'm just making fun of you for it. God knows you make fun of me enough, so, we're just making up for that. So anyway, I didn't like the way that one works. So instead, I built one that just has a surface hasp on it here, and then I've got two hinges in there that match the hinges on its mate, which is at home. It's the one I travel with. You can see I just use butt hinges here instead of strap hinges, like we were talking about earlier. You can use any kind of hinge you can get on the back of a door, you can use here. So, and that's just an old-fashioned 1920s, 30s cabinet lock. These are all from Horton. Some people have asked about the nails too. Those are Riviera nails, and yes, I paint them, but you can see even with just a little bit of wear, the paint is wearing off of them. So, yeah, I do. I know, it's crazy.
Jesus.
Yours is dovetail. Yours is fancier. You were just showing off with the dovetails in your class, though. So, anyway, so the interior of this one, you can see the bits and bobs a little more easily. So
Clean and pretty.
I know. So you can see that the back of this lid, no, it's not going to fall open. The back of this lid with these hinges actually catches and stays. I don't need a chain on it. For those of you who were asking that earlier, I'll just grab a saw and we'll put it in there, so you can see these actually work. They aren't just for show. So, and ooh, look, it works. Right, and then the planes. Do I have oh, there's my jack plane. My fancy jack plane. Isn't it pretty? This is sized to fit that. So you make those to, I am caught on the handle here. You make those to fit your own set of tools. This is just the basic layout. And you can customize it for however you want, but one of the, I customize the top, as I said, but I don't want to customize the bottom because while most of the classes I teach are dovetailing classes in some way or another, I might need a different set of tools for something in the future, and those can go down in the bottom that doesn't have any divisions in it yet. If I ever decide to use this for just a single specific set of tools, then yeah, I might customize it more, but this works for me now, although this one actually belongs to somebody else, or will eventually.
Yeah, this one was for a customer. How much do you charge for that one?
Well, it depends on the hardware and stuff, of course, but this one's about $1,200. So.
$1,200 with the Horton hardware or the Lee Valley hardware?
$1,200 with the Lee Valley hardware.
Cool.
Or the Horton, actually. Not the forged stuff, but with butt hinges or whatever. They're a little more than the Lee Valley ones, so maybe that would be, I don't know, $1,285. I don't know. Anyway, doesn't matter.
Yeah, it does. You want to get back to questions? Or is there
Sure.
more to do?
There really isn't much more to show here.
Nothing to see here.
Nothing to see here, people. Move along. Right, okay.
Back to your seat.
Okay. Back to my seat. Yeah, that took all my energy, so I need to conserve a little. Ah! Sorry.
Foot. Okay. What are the minimum, typical, and maximum dimensions for a Dutch tool chest?
Well, the whole point of it is that you can A, get your tools in it, and B, pick it up. So this, which is what, 20, I can't remember, 28 inches long, I think. I can't get my arms around anything longer than that, and it fits a number 8 plane. I had the one that is at home fits number 7 because that is the jointer plane I use. Also, it allows me to get my arms around it a little more easily. You could go bigger if you got long monkey arms, but why? What are you going to, if you're going to get it long enough for a true what am I looking
30-inch ripsaw.
30-inch ripsaw or whatever, well, at that point, you might as well just build a full-size or a regular square tool chest. Because you won't be able to lift this at that point, so there's really no benefit to it.
Yeah. And the typical depth is just 1 by 12.
Yeah, it's a 1 by 12 or 1 by 11 1/8 if that's what the wood ends up being. It doesn't have to be exactly that size. It should be dictated by the stock you have available, like just about anything, in my opinion. But
yeah, I wouldn't make it much longer or too much deeper. I mean, it's kind of silly.
You can make it taller with another section at the bottom, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you show some of the details of the toolbar? We did that.
We did that. I jumped around, sorry.
Do you have a method to prevent people lifting, as opposed to steadying, the chest with the handles on the side? To prevent people lifting.
Oh, you're worried about these tearing out because of the weight. On the one that I actually take on the road with me, I have it bolted through so that it's a non-issue, so that I can lift it up for specifically that reason. And I have no qualms. These screws go almost all the way through, and there's nothing in this one, so I don't have any problem using them to actually lift it. I think that these handles should be used for picking it up, so put them on in a way that allows you to do that.
And if you don't, then run an electrical current through them.
Yeah, that's fun.
David Lunsford asks, have you seen any advantages to adding depth to a DTC? Well, we were just talking
Yeah. Nope.
Well, he says it might allow you to put panel saws in the till rather than on the lid.
I mean, I guess you could. There's no reason I couldn't put the panel saws in it as it is right now, though. They'd fit down into that saw rack. I'd just have to make the kerfs a little wider.
And kind of space them out.
Kind of space them out more. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to fit as many, but that's okay.
Yeah.
You only need 2.
Yeah. But if you added like 3 or 4 inches, you might be able to
Yeah, you might be able
add
to.
some more saws.
Sure. Be harder to pick it up.
Yeah. Have you ever seen any French cleated versions?
I haven't, but I know you have. You were talking about that once.
Yeah.
Expound.
Somebody put a French cleat on one.
And hung it on a wall.
Yeah,
Oh,
cool
all right.
idea.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great way to get it off the floor and then turn it into a wall hanging rack so that it actually will be featured in fine woodworking.
Ouch.
Oh, that was that shade.
This isn't fine woodworking.
I know, it's amazing.
I know.
I mean, usually it's just like, wall rack, let me show you my wall rack.
That's exactly how they talk.
It is. That's how Ben
It is
talks
how
all
Ben
the time.
Strano talks.
He walks around showing his nipples constantly.
No,
Yeah.
he really needs to
He calls
stop
it his
that.
wall rack.
He does.
Wall and rack.
Hi, Ben. Hope you're not
He'll
watching.
never get to this. This is buried so deep
Hi,
in the
Barry.
video. You can do
Barry's
whatever you want.
Barry's going to show him, though.
Yeah, that's true. And we'll get a stern letter from Anissa. Finally, how's the book coming?
Well, I'm working on it, as I said earlier. Hopefully, I'll have it to all of you next year, in the first half of the year, in print. Hopefully, we get paperback.
Paper's coming back, baby.
Yep, that's what I hear.
Yeah. No, we just got a book. We got the Dick Pronicki book
I know.
early. So
Yep.
I'm told that things are getting better.
Good.
Sorry, everybody.
Sorry. But look for the Dick Pronicki book next week. We're very excited about it.
Hopefully going to ship it next week.
Yep.
Jerry Pickering asks, I'm curious about the total stock needed to construct the large Dutch tool chest. How many of which boards are needed before milling?
Well, I mean, I guess it depends on where you're getting them and if you have to cut around knots and the like. But in general, you need 4 1x12 by 8s for the large one and 3 of them for the smaller one.
The second part of the question,
Not including the backs. Sorry, that's taking away the backs, because for the backs I use. Okay. For the backs, I use tongue and groove board that's available at the big box store.
Yeah, it's called car siding.
Car siding. Yep. It's inexpensive, and I can buy this more cheaply than I can make it, and it looks pretty good. So.
I skipped the second half of the question
Nope.
because he was throwing some shade on me.
Awesome.
Chris, and I'm going to. Chris
I'll read
refers
it.
to stock commonly available at the home center, but he fails to give any general requirements. And that's because I do that. I also did that in the Anarchist tool chest. I didn't give a cutting list
Right.
because I think it's like you'll understand the project so much better if you have to sit down
Yep.
with a measured drawing and make a cutting list and then figure out the board footage. You'll be a better person for it. And I sound like a dad.
Well, and I don't actually use board footage when I think about things, because to me, I don't have a math mind at all. You may know that about me. Time for some Shakespeare, yeah? No, never time for Shakespeare around here. I keep trying. Anyway, because I could have 120 board feet of things, and they could all be 1-inch wide strips of wood. So, yeah, I'd have to glue them together to make one 12 by 12. So I just have trouble putting my head around it. So.
You just go to the lumberyard and pile up boards until you say, yeah, that's enough.
Yep, I do. I
mean,
do.
It's a
I
totally
do.
legit way to do it.
I do. I mean, I know how wide it needs to be, and like I need to get a panel this wide, and these two together will do it, and so.
And
But when you're using dimension stock, yeah, I can talk about how many.
Yeah, wood doesn't go bad, so.
Well, it can, but
But I mean, that's, well,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
man.
right.
There's an expiration date on your Wengi.
We're going somewhere else with that, thank God. Okay.
John Bates writes, he's building the chest from the popwood plans. It looks like the lid is essentially centered over the opening. Not completely sure about this. In the more recent article you wrote in Fine Woodworking, the lid is flush to the back of the case and beveled. Is that just an aesthetic choice, or is there some function to it? It seems that with the lid, if flush, would flop back when opened rather than holding itself just past vertical.
Vertical?
Vortical.
Vertical. Well, this is flush, and it is staying open, so. And in fact, oh yeah, it stays open. And in fact, in the Popwood article, it is beveled and flush with the back, just like this. So I think it's just a misunderstanding. So.
Probably from the writer was such a piece of junk.
Or the editor sucked, one of the two.
Oh, the editor, or both.
Or both. We still work together. No.
Yeah. Yeah, make it flush to the back.
Make
I
it
can't
flush
think
to the
of
back.
any reason
No, I can't either.
not to. In the Fine Woodworking article, you recommend placing the lifts forward of center
do.
to help balance the chest.
Yep.
Did you mean toward the front?
I did.
It seems it would tip more if the lifts are closer to the front, with the chest having more weight toward the rear.
Right, but because there's more weight toward the rear and I'm lifting it from the front, I want to offset that. My strength offsets the stuff that's at the rear. I may be getting this wrong. How the hell I'm talking about?
You're saying move the lifts forward.
Just like a half an inch. We're talking a half an inch.
And you pick it up from the back.
No, I pick it up from the front.
No, I pick it up from the back.
You do? Mm-hmm. I can't pick it up from the back. I garrote myself.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe that's where I've gone wrong, is I'm picking it up from the wrong side. It would be so much easier if I'd pick it up from the back.
If you move them forward and you pick it up from the front, he's saying it's going to, I mean, it's a half an inch, so no, it's not going to happen. We're talking about science and stuff.
Oh.
But no, if it's a good idea to move them a little forward if you pick it up from the back, I think.
Maybe I just got confused. I'm just wrong. Don't believe anything I say.
Greg Knuckles, or Knuckles,
I think.
writes an epistle. I'm wondering sometimes about customizing the lower compartment. Following what I believe Chris suggested, mine is open and crammed with tools that are larger or not frequently used. To try to corral the smaller ones, I use a box as shown in the attached photo. Sorry. Normally, a router plane lives on the left side next to the shoulder plane. This more or less works, although pulling out the box leads to an avalanche of tools that were piled behind it. Finally, my question. Do you ever customize the DTC lower compartment, or have you seen compelling ideas for customizations? He's not inclined to do anything too ambitious or fancy. He's just curious about your perspective at this time.
Well, again, I like to leave it open so I can change what tools are in there. But there will be a lot of pictures of customized ones in this Fable book. And there are some online, actually. If you go to I am just kicking that over, popularwoodworking.com. Wow, this feels 10 years ago all of a sudden. And look for reader tool chests in quotes. There should be a post, at least there was last time I looked, of customized ones that people sent in to me there. Well, now many years ago, but I think it's still posted. You get some good ideas also for the top section.
Yeah, or just Google image search produces a lot too.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
But those are just like all in a row. So.
Yeah. John Clemens writes, what location, height, do you prefer for the chest lifts, handles, on the sides of the Dutch tool chest? Is there a location that seems to work better than others?
Well, above the shelf, certainly. And then I sort of center them in between the top and the bottom. This location works well for me to pick it up from the front. I don't think I can pick it up from the back. I'd have to check.
I think you can.
Yeah, probably.
DJ Zor, his real name, writes, best affordable hardware options for utility and function. The blacksmith stuff is lovely, but out of range for a blue-collar dirt bag.
Like me, that's why I have I guess the butt hinges from Horton aren't exactly cheap, but they're really, really good and they're interchangeable, so they're the ones I go to every time. So those are good and inexpensive. You can use butt hinges from the big box store. You can also use gate hinges from the big box store if you want the look of a strap hinge. There's all kinds of options, but these Lee Valley ones are inexpensive, as are these lifts, and I think that they look pretty nice for the price, certainly.
Yeah, they're. I think if I remember right, those strap hinges from Lee Valley are Italian even. I mean, they're not just like third world pot metal. They're pretty good stuff.
Yeah, they're not bad. The only drawback to them, and it's not really a drawback, is they aren't. They're counterboard on one side and not the other, and because we're putting the interior, you have to drill countersinks on the inside face in order to put it on the interior of the chest and have the screws end up flush, but that's not that hard to do. I know it's metal, not wood, but it's soft metal, so.
Or use panhead screws.
Or use panhead screws, right?
And
sure.
You're fine. Also, one other thing I would say, not that this is my show.
Rensup.
Is what?
Rensup? Rensup.com? Go ahead, sorry. Not that, okay.
I would say if you're going to get stuff, I built them with stuff from the hardware store.
Oh, sure.
And, you can strip off the zinc with
right.
like either citric acid or vinegar and then blacken them afterwards, and they look pretty darn good.
Yep.
I've built quite a few that way. Base options to keep the chest at a more comfortable functional working height.
Well, saw benches are actually really good for that. You can throw it on a pair of saw benches and go to town. That puts it at a really good working height for me anyway, and should for you too, because your saw benches will be sized to fit your body. That will help. The lower base does get it into a nice, pretty good height too, and it's about the same height as my saw benches. Go figure.
Yeah, saw benches, it's amazing once
Yeah.
you have a pair, how they become part of your everything. It's, should I wait for the book to come out before starting to build one?
No, not if you already know what you're doing as far as using the tools. One of the things that the book will give you that wasn't in Chris's article in 2013, the October 2013 issue. I only know that because, I've been looking at Dutch tool chests nonstop for a year and a half now. Also because one of my projects is on the cover. It's the shaker box. Blanket chest is on the cover. That's why I know.
Beautiful chest.
Thank you. Anyway, what I'm doing in the book is giving you a lot of different options for each operation, which we don't do in any of the articles. This is the way I do it. So I'm telling you how to use a saw, how to cut dovetails, some intricacies of making your dovetails better, a lot of how-to that can't be, just because of space, can't be included in an article. But for me, this is a project that I think is good for both beginners and people who are more advanced. But if you are a beginner, this book is going to help you learn all the tools, all the processes, and give you options for it. I'm mentioning power tools too, like dados by hand. I know I love to do them by hand, but Fine Woodworking posted something of me doing a dado by hand 2 or 3 days ago, and someone was complaining. Well, I love using hand tools, but I would use a router for that. That's the best way. Well, I absolutely disagree. If you have 2 dados to cut, I can probably get those cut faster than you can get your router out, set up the fence, change your bit, set the depth. I bet I'm done before you're ready to start.
Game on.
With two. And if I have to cut 30, no, of course not. Ditto with changing the dado stack on the table saw to do it that way. That said, I'm going to give you options like that. But if you already know how to perform the operations, no. I mean, the chest is the chest is the chest. The form of it doesn't change in the book. What we'll be doing is giving you options for layout, different ways to go about it. So that's what'll be in, a few squirrel jokes if Chris gets his hands on it. So.
What I like about the book idea in particular is that it
choose your own adventure.
Yeah, there's that. But it's also that will be a great book for the beginning hand tool woodworker.
Yeah, right.
Like if you haven't gotten into, the internet or any of the other stuff, if you want to.
Or you want to believe what you're reading.
Right, from somebody who's done it.
Right.
It's great that way. It's, those books are kind of rare, and you get to make something that you really need.
Right.
So, okay, last question. Best blue fleece or sweater on the market, unisex options, please.
Patagonia. End of discussion.
Okay. So we're going to do a demo now.
Okay.
Tell us about the demo.
Right. Well, so at the front of the lid on this chest is a fingernail molding. And that's just a slightly turned over molding here, and I'm just going to show you how to do it. And I will probably cut myself on camera because I always cut myself when I'm using the rabbet plane, and that's where we're going to start. So it's just a gentle round over here, but you can do this in just a few minutes with a couple of hand planes. You really only need 2 hand planes, one to cut the rabbet and one to cut the round over, but I like to use 3 because I have them. We were just with John Port in New York, and he said one of his nicknames was 8 Planes Port because he had 8 hand planes, which was just a shocking number. Anyway, I'm going to... Shocking! I think I should take this off, don't you? All right. You can do it one-handed? Wow.
Yep, I'm one-handed Schwartz.
It's one-handed Schwartz. I have to move our stools.
Can I be 6 squirrels?
Yeah, you could be. All right, so first off is the rabbet plane. We're just going to cut a rabbet, and on the lid it's cut on 3 sides. I would cut the ends first because you want to break away the stuff that's going to tear away. Then you come across it second with the grain and you clean up your tear out, but I'm just going to do the front here. Rabbet plane, this is the Veritas Skew Rabbet plane. I already have it set for the depth with the depth stop here.
Which is how much?
About that much. I'm going to say 1/8 maybe.
Okay.
I don't really know. I don't really care. It's about that much. That's basically how I do all of my measuring.
And how wide?
About that wide.
Which is about what, 3/4?
I don't think that's quite 3/4, but we could find out if we want to.
No, just curious. I'm trying to act on behalf of our viewers.
Well, on behalf of our viewers and on behalf of myself, I don't do much measuring. I just sort of, I eyeball it. I eyeball it.
Just eyeball
Just eyeball it. I will.
I will.
I will. All right, rabbet plane. I've dropped the knicker here. I have dropped my
Drop
knicker.
the knicker, Will.
Yeah. Anyway, you'll notice that the knob is missing. That's because you shouldn't grab onto it. One of these days we'll make a coat rack from them. So the knob is gone so that I can put my thumb here. My fingers are going to not hit that exposed edge of that blade where I always cut myself when I'm talking, pushing the fence against the wood. This hand pushes into the board. This hand's job is to push the plane forward. I'm not even really going to grasp it. I'm just going to sort of push it. If I grasp it, I'm going to tip it. And that is a typical thing that happens when you're just starting out cutting rabbets. It doesn't really matter on this project, though, or in this particular usage. So this is a great place to practice cutting square rabbets where it's really not a problem if you don't. Anyway, so first I'm going to draw it back to try to score the wood with the knicker. That didn't really work, but I see it, but it's really hard to see. Anyway, I've scored the wood so that I've cleaned up that shoulder a little. Start up at the front end. Oh, this is going so well. Hammer. Push forward, back up, come into the cut. I need a...
You need another hold fast.
I need another hold fast.
Or a clamp.
Or a clamp, but this is really fun to do on camera with people watching and it's not going well. I'll go grab a clamp. All right. Or another hold fast. I should probably grab a clamp, shouldn't I? Oh, no hole.
There's a hole.
It's in...
Half hole.
It's a half hole.
Boy, these hold fast work
These
great.
work great, yeah. So do these hammers.
Wow.
Hammer. Let's try this again. Well, you can see I've started my cut here. Back up a little more. Oh, well. I'm going to hip check. This is the meat clamp. Thank you, Chris. And it'll stop cutting when it reaches full depth. So that didn't look very impressive. Okay. Okay, so now that we have a rabbit cut, it's going to move. There it goes.
I was important.
You're very important. Okay, we're going to put that pesky plane aside. Work holding is always the most difficult part of any woodworking project, I find, especially on camera. Now with my fancy, you have to have a fancy one. This was engraved by Jen Bauer.
Look at that pussy.
Christopher.
On the plane.
Christopher. I'm going to start by hitting the hold fast, not Christopher. Thinking about it though. And I'm going to just take a few passes. I'm going against the grain. That's okay.
Aren't you always?
Yep, I try to. So I just do a chamfer there, and now a chamfer being a 45-degree bevel.
So you're jacking off a chamfer first.
Yeah. Now
what?
I'm going to change the angle on the plane. As you know, I'm red enough already from being sick. Could you stop it? And I'm changing the angle as I come around and creating a series of smaller facets as I round over. But because I have such a significant camber on this blade, it's hard to get up here at the top, so I'm going to use a smaller plane now.
Now the safety police wanted me to ask you,
Why is my hair down?
yeah, isn't your hair going to get caught in the plane and it's going to like scalp you?
It might. It's how I keep the split ends nice, though. They get caught into the chisels. The only problem I really have with my hair is when it gets caught in a clamp. That kind of hurts. But yeah, so just a series of passes, rounding over. And it really doesn't take that long, especially if your wood isn't moving around on you, to get a nice rounded over edge. So,
any differences when you're working across the grain?
well, when I'm working across the grain, as I come off the back edge, just like any time you're working across the grain, you want to take off the material that's going to split off so that it doesn't split off when you're using the plane. You don't, in Chris's terminology, wish to blow out the backside. That's a bad thing. I'll say it for you so you don't have to.
Yeah. A lot of people saw me do that at Handworks.
Did they?
Years ago.
Did they? Oh, the trail of smears. I do remember it, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, people.
Sorry, people. Okay.
Well, that looks beautiful, Megan.
Oh, thank you, Chris.
Nice work.
Thank you.
Anything you want to say to people before we sign off here?
I apologize for Chris's language. Usually it's me, though, so I can get away with that.
I said
no.
wrong.
Thank you for joining us. Hi, Mom. Sorry about that.
And if you are going to be in Cincinnati on December 11th, please come by and see us. And you can see some of these Dutch tool chests. We're having our open day here in Covington from 10 a.m. until 5 p.m. with blemished books and all our new books. And we'll sign anything. Bring your babies. Bring your mother-in-law. We'll sign her too. So,
All right.
Thanks, everybody. Wave goodbye, Meg.